Welcome to War Thunder with Subdued. How y'all doing today? Well, now that we've had a couple of dev blogs in, one for the Americans with the A7D, and one for the British, the Blackburn Buccaneer S2. We now have two of the most iconic attack aircraft, light bombers, that have ever been produced. I'm sure there's a Russian that's coming. Probably the Su-25. I would love to see it just because. And a lot of American pilots really like the Su-25. Um, but we haven't seen it yet, so can't tell. But we are getting the A7D Corsair 2 and the Blackburn Buccaneer S2. And they are going to be carrying some of the most massive bomb loads for their age. Now, I say massive bomb loads, take that in relevance to what their stablemates were at the time. For the British, it would have been the Avro Vulcan, and for the Americans, it would have been the B-47 and the B-52. Like, there's just no comparison in bomb load capacity. But for their size, these planes carried a excessive amount of ordnance. Um, Now, don't get me wrong. I love my A4B and my A4E. Uh, Especially when you look at some of the secondary loads. I mean, 14 500-pound bombs. That's a metric boatload of bombs. 250-pound bombs, 20 of them. I mean, the thing is just literally bristling with explosives. And that's a beautiful thing, especially if you're going into ground attack. You have to be a bit more precise with 250-pound bombs, but you got a lot of them you can use. And carpet bombing. Yes, carpet bombing. Boom, 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 boom. This is what these planes were designed for. They were designed to get in low, get in hard, and hit the target with as much ordnance as possible. When we're talking about the Buccaneer, we're talking about, unfortunately, what they're saying in Gaijin is 12,000 pounds. What they're not telling you in Gaijin is that it could carry 12,000 pounds internally and another 4,000 pounds out on the wings. That brought the total to 16,000 pounds. Yeah, 16,000 pounds. That's a lot of ordnance. Now, maybe I'm reading it wrong. Maybe it is 12,000 pounds between internal and external load. But the way I read it when I was researching the airplane many months ago was that it could carry 12,000 pounds internally and 4,000 pounds on the wings, suspended. That makes for a lot of boom. Um, the additional missiles that the planes could carry. I'm not sure about British anti shipping missiles. I'm not even sure what sort of missiles it carried. It really isn't that germane to the topic. But for the A7 could carry a lot of different things. And some of them aren't even talked about. And there's a good reason they didn't talk about them. But it could carry the Standard missile for anti radiation. It could carry the Shrike, the Harm. It could carry the Maverick. And we just haven't seen any of these missiles in game yet. Now, I don't expect to be seeing the HARM or the Standard missile anytime in the near future because reasons. The firing distance of those missiles is really long. However, if you're talking about the Shrike, you can use two different models of the Shrike, the A model, the B model. The A model is a shorter range, 12 kilometers. The B model is a longer range, 40 kilometers. The A model would be acceptable in the game at the time, this time. But just remember, it's an anti-radiation missile. If you are sitting there with your wonderful Russian anti-aircraft tank and you're rotating and radiating and you're putting out all sorts of energy into the sky, and all of a sudden, oh my goodness, you've got inbound Shrikes and there's multiples of them coming from multiple different directions. What do? You turn off the damn radar and you move. You move quickly. Because that missile's coming in at Mach. I'm not sure exact numbers, but it's high Mach. You move. You get out of the area where that thing is going to impact or proximity explode. And you don't drive towards the missile, you drive sideways. Hopefully you're not sitting in a location where you can't go sideways. It would be really silly. But regardless of that, these two planes being added are very welcome. Now, some people have said it's not going to be very useful in air realistic. As someone who only plays air realistic, I think you're wrong. And somebody said, well, it's going to get AIM-9Bs on the Buccaneer. It's not very useful. I'm like, Skyhawk begs to differ with your opinion. 325 and 22. And I've only had the A4E for about a week. Yeah, you can do a lot of damage with AIM-9Bs. And the Corsair 2 is going to get much more advanced missiles, which will have a better range, better detection, and all that goes into that. Provided Gaijin gives it realistic attack capabilities. And yeah, I've been looking forward to the Buccaneer for a long time. It's a beautiful plane, and if we look at the British lineup, if they put it in properly, it will probably go either under the Harrier Jaguar or the bomber line. It should go into the bomber line. Now they're saying it's going to be at least in the dev blog, I think they said it was going to be a rank 5 aircraft. Yeah, no. It's going to be in that area. The bomb load alone moves it up to rank 6. The subsonic and only couple of air-to-air missiles moves it back to rank 5. So it's kind of one of those planes that's on the cusp. And depending upon what sort of AGMs they finally end up giving it beyond the bullpups, it's going to get the bullpups. No getting around it. Let's say they go and they say, we're going to implement the paveway and the laser guided bombs. You just have to stay up at altitude while you're lasing the target and, dropping your bomb so that you can, you know, guide the bomb into the target, making yourself an easy target for anti aircraft missiles. That would be okay. One thing that they aren't telling us is whether they'll ever add CBUs, cluster bomb units. The Russians, the Americans, the British, the French, well, the French did the Durandal, which I think was the the runway spiking missile or bomb that would blow runways to pieces. Um, the, Cluster bombs are a thing, and especially if you're going after light targets. Not so much on heavy armor, but when you're going after a column of light armor, armored cars, vehicles with transport with troops, AAA vehicles, cluster bomb units can pave an area with explosives. And I know for sure that the A7 Corsair 2 could drop CBUs. I'm not sure about the Buccaneer, but I'm going to guess that it could probably be fitted with CBUs with no problem. Another bomb that we're missing out of the entire lineup is the Snake Eye. And that was dropped by the A7 and the A4s in large quantities. Now, some of you might be going, well, what the heck good is that? It's real good if you want to drop a bomb that has 0 detonation time, but you want your plane to get out of the way, because it slows down the bomb. The bomb drops behind the airplane significantly. You can come in at high speed, low altitude, drop your bombs, and get out of the blast. And it looks cool. It really does look cool. When you drop a bunch of bombs and they all open up like flowers. The most deadly type of flower. It would be fun to see that. Especially when we go into replays and we sit there and watching from the front of the aircraft and watching all these bombs drop off and open up and slow down and go way off into the back and then start detonating on the ground. Boom, 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 boom. It would be just so much fun. You'd have to see it to enjoy it. If you want to see some of it, go look at DCS. DCS has the A7 Corsair, and I've been running into all sorts of videos up on YouTube that are dedicated to pilots playing with the A7 and carrying bombs and dropping bombs and having a good old time. You will find that stuff, and it is highly entertaining. And I do look forward to making videos with the A7 just decimating ground targets. And yeah, those AIM 9s are going to be good for self-defense. And let me tell you, a 20 millimeter Vulcan cannon with 1,030 rounds of ammo, that's more than the F4. That's more than the T2 or the F1. That's a lot of kill. And that's what I really like about American aircraft. Unfortunately, the Buccaneer never got fitted with a gun. Not that I think that's a bad thing. They probably would have fitted it with the Aden, And the Aden, with its 30 millimeter shells, they just didn't carry a lot of them. I mean, if you look at the difference between a Vulcan loaded with 750 rounds of 20 millimeter versus, oh, let's go take a look at one of the best, the Hunter. The Hunter has 600 rounds of 30 millimeter. Yeah, that's a lot of bang, but the Vulcan fires faster, the Vulcan fires more, and that's just the fighter. The Jaguar has only got 300 rounds. You want more bang for your buck? Unfortunately, you have to go American. I'm not even sure what the Su-25 will carry. I'm pretty sure that it's got a 30 millimeter gun. It might be a 23 millimeter or 27 millimeter. I don't know. I haven't done a lot of research on the Su-25. But I do know that, like I said, American pilots love the Su-25. U.S. Air Force pilots. Just like Russian pilots like the F-16. They really did, and when they got their chance to actually fly an F-16, they were like, "Oh, this is so much fun!" And the American pilots were flying the Su-25, and they were like, "Yeah, this is a pilot's plane." So, what do we want? We want to have fun. We want to have fun in the game. And fun is derived by firepower. Now, as far as being subsonic, both of these planes, and Su-25, we're talking about planes that were designed for a specific role. They were designed to go in low, get bombs, rockets, missiles on target, and get out of there. They were meant to be covered by fighter aircraft. Unfortunately, in War Thunder, the attackers and bombers start out at a position where they are far in advance and higher than the fighters. And as such, they become easy meat for the enemy. They get out there in front of everything. Now, that may be designed to keep them out there, get their bombs off, and then die spectacularly. I think that's the dumbest way of putting it. But if they started way behind the fighters, most of the times, with, unfortunately for American teams, they're going to get swarmed under by, like, Harrier GR1s with those SRAM missiles that are just taking out everything from every angle, because Gaijin doesn't know how to set up balance. And they never have known how to balance things. But that's irrespective of what's going on with these two new aircraft. They're going to be good in air realistic as well as in ground forces. The only thing I can hope for is that we get the anti-radiation missiles, the AGM-45. I don't see us getting the RIM-66 version, or the whatever they call it, the AGM-66. The standard missile with a 90-kilometer range, or the HARM missile with a 120-kilometer range, the AGM-88. But I would like to see laser guided bombs. I would like to see Mavericks. I'd like to see Shrikes. I want to see more weaponry. Not just the platforms to carry it, but the weaponry itself. Shrikes were carried by the A4s. I'm not sure if the B could carry them, but the E could. And that would give the A4Es a standoff capability against radar-guided anti-aircraft. And that's provided the radar-guided anti-aircraft is smart enough to shut off its radar and move, which most players aren't going to be smart enough. They're just not going to see the stuff coming at them. Oh well. This has gone on long enough. This Subdude sign out. Y'all have a pleasant today, better tomorrow. We'll catch you in the sky in Air Realistic on the good maps. And yeah, the city map ain't so bad. It could stand to be a little bigger, and some of those skyscrapers, well, it makes it interesting. I'll just leave it at that. Take care, folks. Have a nice day. Bye-bye.